Hello and welcome to the vlog of dealing with a Canadian winter with an Arctic storm that we got hit with recently. This was at the beginning of it when it had just started snowing, so this is just what I do with my horses when I want to train them a little bit, but I don't want to freeze. I put my glovies on and we do a short session. So in this short one, I was just working with the girls and being touched behind their ears and down their neck because they don't enjoy it. So I'm trying to teach that enjoyment by linking it to a pleasant stimulus, which is food, and also reading their behavior when they tell me yes or no or when they need a break, so that they can start to associate autonomy and some level of comfort with me touching them rather than expecting it to be pushing them to do stuff against their will and making it highly uncomfortable. So my sessions with the Mustangs when it's cold like this, they're actually pretty short. I only work with them for like 10-15 minutes, and then that's enough for me and it's enough for them. So that's what we did here. They have a heated waterer and they also free choice hay, and then I'm also feeding them forage. Next, this is the next morning when we got a huge dumping of snow on day 2 of this winter storm. My truck was absolutely covered in snow. It took me probably like 25 minutes to get all the snow off because there was almost 30 centimeters of snow. As you can see, my mom's car is just gone.
I love my truck. Just driving through like a foot of snow, no problem. It is so deep. This is a lot of snow. A lot of snow. Go on, Phoebe, go! Go! Okay, Phoebe, come here. Phoebe, come. Come on, Phoebe, come.
I used to over blanket a lot, and this winter I've been leaving my horses as naked as I ever have. So as you can see, Milo is covered in ice and snow. This looks like he would be cold, but it's actually a good thing. It shows that he's not having body heat escape out of his hair coat, because if he did, this snow and ice would melt and he'd be left with damp patches on his coat. So the presence of the snow and the ice on their coats actually means that their hair coat is retaining heat well and that they're well insulated, even though to us as humans we're like, oh my god, they must be freezing. No, not the case. So I was actually quite happy to see it, even though my brain tells me that they must be cold. They're all very happy and they don't seem cold, and every single naked horse that I have has the snow present on their coats, indicating that they're well insulated and they're comfortable and they're all behaving normally. Harlow I do blanket because she has grown a less dense winter coat in the past, but you can see even with her, the snow and ice on her blanket and along her neck is not melting, which means she's retaining her heat properly and well, and she's comfortable. With the wind chill, it was -25 the night before this, so it's quite cold, but they were all doing really well and seemed comfortable and were handling it well, so I didn't put any blankets on the guys who were already naked because I didn't want it to flatten their coats and possibly make them colder. You can see that Milo is really well insulated even though he has ice all over him and he is quite comfortable. He also is really chunky right now, so I figured he doesn't really need any help not burning calories, and he could use some extra calories heating himself.
Come here. Okay, go. Okay, go. Come on.
I always make sure that my horses have lots of access to hay and forage, and that I'm checking on them a couple times a day to make sure that no one is getting cold, because of course if they ever did show signs that their coat is not doing the job, I would definitely deal with that. I'm not just going to leave them to tough it out. But all of them so far have been doing phenomenally well, and it's quite a bit colder than it usually gets here. So between the free choice hay I give them and their soaked forages that I feed, they've been doing really, really well and have seemed quite happy and have been handling the cold awesomely. So have the Mustangs, and some people might be surprised by this because both of them came from climates that are a little bit warmer. They would have been used to some level of freezing temperature in the winter, just probably for shorter periods of time. Mesa, however, did live on a mountain, so she's probably more used to it. Both of these girls have developed really dense, lovely winter coats, and same thing, there was signs that their coats were insulating their heat well and that they're all doing well, and they don't seem too bothered by the snow snow at all. In fact, there's no signs that it's something that they're not used to or that it's even remotely new or different for them. I thought they might be a little bit afraid of their water heater initially because obviously they're not used to that, but they have been excellent and they've been drinking really, really well.
Hello, sir. You're like a polar bear. Did you want me to the store? This also polar bear.
It's currently -11. Last night it was like -25 with the wind chill. I'm wearing 2 toques, a vest, a sweater, another sweater, a winter base layer, and then I'm also wearing 3 pairs of pants. I'm wearing a pair of light, kind of like pajama style pants, another pair of joggers, and then a pair of winter leggings over top. And then I have my long winter jacket that I'm gonna put on once I get into this field and try to squat and pee in the snow in all of my layers. It's great. We love Canada. My Mustangs are living the good life. I have to fill their water, but they have a water heater today. Big upgrade from roughing it as wild horses. With my personal horses, I haven't been working with them as much because they're all tame and they can all handle basic procedures like vet and farrier. But with the Mustangs, I've been trying to handle them as much as possible, even though it's really cold. So we've kind of started doing more of these exercises where I'm getting them to follow me and developing recall, as well as teaching verbal cues for moving forward more. And it's been really fun because first of all, it gets me warm because I'm moving more. And secondly, it's also building their confidence in following me at different paces and making me less scary. So this is really conditioning approaching behaviors, also teaching them some basics of liberty work and target training, as well as introducing cues that mean, hey, like come follow me, pick up the trot, and so on and so forth. So it's fun all around, and it's also nice to see how curious they are and the fact that they have this much desire to approach me and work like this. So this has just kind of been something new that I've been using to help build their confidence further and also have fun for myself and them. I still work a lot on like touching them and getting them comfortable with that type of handling because I'm starting to desensitize them to having their jugular handled and like the sensation of like a needle prick and whatnot because they'll need to have vet care. So I'm still going and doing daily handling with them and just working on behaviors that increase their comfort around people and also are modeling different handling behaviors. Like for example, this type of leading exercise will be super valuable for when I'm halter breaking them and actually practicing the sensation of leading because it'll allow me to link a tactile cue that is like pulling on the rope of their halter to the forward movement without it being as jarring or alarming to them. So while this might just look like fun and games, and it is, it also teaches them a lot of great behavior. Sorry, that was a sneeze. I sneezed. Come on, please. I think it's important in the wintertime to kind of lower expectations for horse and rider, especially if you're working in a situation where you're working out in the elements and don't have the same freedom to escape it with an indoor or a barn structure. It's okay to slow down what you do in the wintertime and not want to do as much. And I used to be really hard on myself for that, but now I'm trying to honor it a little bit more because I'm still making a lot of progress with these horses, even in quick sessions and short sessions. So it's not really a loss for them or myself to slow down what we're doing and kind of shorten the sessions and make it comfortable and easy for us to both focus. Because if I'm super cold and not paying attention because of that, then I'm losing quality of training anyways. So I'm better off keeping the sessions short enough for me making it make sense for the weather while making it fun still. So as you can see here, I was practicing the liberty work with the Mustangs, and now I'm practicing touching them and reaching down further and further on their shoulder and just trying to make it enjoyable while linking it to a positive stimulus. So those are the snow clouds in the distance. All of my water is currently frozen. This is the water that I filled at the beginning of this storm. And we're now down to this one, which is currently defrosting, and I'm gonna bring warm water to top them up because all the pipes are frozen. All of this frozen snow and ice has been on my truck for like 3 days. They're ready for me to feed them, waiting expectantly. So let me just show you what I do for their feed in the winter. So this is where I keep their tough hay pellets and their alfalfa Timothy cubes. Forage and the digestion of it is incredibly important for horses to stay warm in the winter. So a great way to get water into them while ensuring that they're intaking forage is by feeding them soaked hay cubes. So those are the hay cubes, the alfalfa Timothy cubes. Some tough pellets. And then this is beet pulp, which is also a forage. Okay, so that's what we're gonna all soak. Next, I put some Mad Barn electrolytes in. And then I'm gonna add their oil. I feed the W3 oil from Mad Barn. My oil is frozen. It's not coming out. What the hell? I've never had it be this cold. Look at how thick the oil is. This is how cold it is. Look at that. I've never seen this before. This is gonna take a while. That's our extra thick oil, and then once that is all soaked, I'll mix everything in, and I add their Mad Barn supplements after. I don't feed grain, they just get the amino trace supplement from Mad Barn, and then I also give them some black oil sunflower seeds. Feeding horses lots of grain does basically nothing to keep them warm in the winter because of the digestion process for grain. So forage is an absolute necessity for helping them generate heat. Whether they're blanketed or not, they need lots of hay and forages. Next, we use the kitchen sink to get hot water in here. Give her a little stir, and then fill it out right to the top, and then we let it soak. I soak with basically boiling hot water, so it soaks a lot quicker, and then it's also still a bit warm by the time I feed it to them, which I think they enjoy. A lot of people like feeding bran mashes when it's cold out. I recommend feeding something like soaked forage because it'll give them the nice warm tasty soupness of bran mash, but it's better for them and it'll help them retain heat better and generate heat through the digestion of it. Loser. Oh. So this is what their food looks like once it's all soaked. Everything should break apart easily. Ta-da. And then I just spread their food around on the ground or on their hay piles in a bunch of different little piles. They like to move around and eat it, so I do a ton of piles so they don't fight and so that everyone can get something and they can move around if they want. And then, yeah, I thought about blanketing some of the naked ponies, but they're all so fluffy and their coats are all so puffy right now that I figured it was better to just leave them instead of risking flattening their coats. Look at Banksy's poofy little coats. So yeah, horses can conserve heat really well in cold temperatures because of how they digest their hay in their gut, along with their hair coats and how much heat their muscles generate from moving around. But contrary to popular belief, they struggle more with dissipating heat than they do with heat retention. And obviously it depends on horses being accustomed to the climate they live in, how healthy their coat is, how healthy they are, like what their weight's like, and a lot of other factors along with the weather itself. But generally speaking, humans worry about them more in the winter than what they need to, because the vast majority of horses can learn to go without blankets or not need to be blanketed. Over blanketing is a pretty huge problem in the horse world, and it's something that I definitely participated in myself. And it's taken me a few years of unlearning those habits before I got to the point of just leaving my guys naked. But yeah, they have a bunch of hay shelters that are open-sided, and then they have a bigger shelter at the other end, and then they have that short one there, along with natural tree shelter to a certain degree. And generally speaking, they all just choose to stay out of the shelters. They prefer to be out in the open doing things. We're supposed to get a lot more snow today, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like out here after that. I think we're getting like another 30 centimeters. But yeah, everyone's doing really well, and Milo's been feeling really good and running around lots, and his feet are looking great. I haven't really been doing a lot of riding because it's just been too cold to want to do that. So yeah. Harlow I do blanket because she gets colder than them and has been growing less of a coat. She has way more of a winter coat than she's ever had this winter, so hopefully by next year she'll be unblanketed more, but I've just been blanketing her just in case. So I fed them a bale of loose hay, and then they also have a round bale under that hay hut there, and then another round bale under the hay ring, and miscellaneous slow feed nets throughout the field. Typically I don't feed them loose, but when it's cold like this I do, just to make sure that they're getting extra hay intake without it being as much effort.